Welcome to the March Community Board 2 SLA 2 meeting. I'm Donna Raftery, Chair of the committee, and other committee members are Cormac Flynn, Brian Pape, Carter Booth, Erica Olson, and Katie Bordenero. I'll probably be taking the items a little bit out of order. So just when your application's called, come up, the applicant will come up first and speak. The committee then will ask any questions. Once we are done, we will go to the public for questions and comments. We'll hear from anybody who's here from the public first, and then we will go back to the applicant for any responses. I ask that both the applicant and the people from the public address the committee and not each other, that everybody speak respectfully and courteously to each other, and that there's no back and forth. I think that covers it. Make sure you speak into the microphone. The microphone is over there. You can raise and lower it. There's a dial on the stick, and there's a blue button to turn it on and off. So that's that. The first application we are going to hear is 20X Hospitality LLC, doing business as Spicy Moon Vegan Szechuan at 68 West 3rd. This is an on-premise for a restaurant. It's a corporate change.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening. My name is Sam Park. I'm the representative. I'm here for 20X Hospitality, DBA Spicy Moon Vegan Szechuan. I'm here for corporate change removal, one of the LLC member. There'll be nothing gonna change, and then method of operation is same. Hour of operation is 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 day. It's gonna be all same thing.
Okay, so looking back, and the person who is staying is the same person who signed our stipulations last time. They're not here. He's not here.
Yes,
Tonight.
they're not here.
Okay, and what the hours were before, 11 to 12, and they were 11 to 1 Friday and Saturday.
Correct, but now it's they close in 10 p.m.
Okay, there's no TVs.
Yes.
They're not using the rear yard.
No.
And then I don't think they're eligible for any outdoor seating because they've
No
got that
outdoor.
sidewalk ramp and they've got a no standing in
Correct.
the roadway in front. And the old stipulations had that the staff, there's no use of the rear yard by patrons, and the staff won't use the rear yard after 9 p.m. All the lights will be out at that time. Okay, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank
then I think, do you have Adoro also?
No.
No,
that's not-
okay.
Yeah.
So the next, I'm gonna send, yeah, I'll be sending you stipulations just to update them. Okay. Okay, the next application is Adoro LLC, 287 Hudson Street, on premise for a restaurant that's a corporate change. Is anybody here on this one? Nope. Okay. The next one will be Mitsuru and Reynolds, 4th Street LLC, doing business as Mitsu, 149 West 4th. This is a new restaurant line.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Phil Dorn, attorney with Pizetsky and Bookman. This is Mo to my right and Mitsuru behind me. These guys are looking to open a formal Japanese restaurant at 149 West 4th Street. The concept is omakase at the bar counter seating, and sushi and other plated items at the table seating. The place is very small. just 30 seats, 16 at the tables and another 14 at the counter. Background music only, closing at midnight each night. As far as outreach goes, these guys reached out to the Washington Square Lower Fifth Avenue Block Association. They also spoke to Brian Maloney of the West 4th McDougal 6th Avenue Block Association. I think I said that right. And I don't know if Brian is here, but we believe that we got his support so long as we agree to certain stipulations, which we agreed to. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, let's see, there were private parties. Are there about how many a year? And
Twice a month at most. Yeah, twice
so
a month.
no more than 24.
Yep.
And then this is Mo, is this?
This is Mo.
So I don't.
Mo is just, he helps with the operations. He's not an
Okay.
owner.
Okay. Okay, then no more than 24. And then, you have outdoor seating on here.
Yes, it'll be one table on the sidewalk, just one two-top, and 5 two-tops in the roadway. So 10 seats in the roadway.
Okay, so the one question I'm gonna ask is, which I would think they have, but have they been over there? Like
I
during the
know
day and
there-
at night, because it just seems like a place
Yeah,
that
there-
isn't
we
really
know the
that
extent of-
suitable for,
Yeah, we know the extent of the crime there, the dirtiness. We know what Brian and his team had to go through to clean it all up, and we admire that and understand that what we want to do there is nothing like what was done there previously. It won't be a structure, it won't be a shed, there won't be anything like that. It's just going to be the bare minimum of the floorboards and 3 planters, in accordance with the rules, of course, but no, maybe an umbrella, but
Right.
no full shed.
and it
That's
closes
right.
at 9.
I think
That's
we had
what-
said 10, but if we said 9,
You said 9,
then that's all right.
huh? Okay.
You'd like 9, then 9 it is.
Yeah, do you know what the thing is? There's a tall structure on the sidewalk. Is it an air sampling?
Do you know what they're talking about? Rob?
It's on the sidewalk. Yeah, Cormac has it. Yeah. So can you just go back to the microphone and say what it is? So
It's a municipal gas line, but it's not in front of our property. It's in front of the property next door.
close. So you're gonna have to follow whatever
Yes,
the
whatever
rules
whatever
are about
DOT
staying away
rules.
from that. You're gonna
Of
have to
course.
stay away from that. Cormac, did you have something else?
Well, part of what's interesting is that right now the shed structure is in front of both properties, like the Galanga and the one next to it as
Yeah,
well. So,
ours won't be. Ours will be just in front of our business frontage.
um, it's interesting. I actually don't think that it is in front of the next property, but it's in front of your property, but
No.
yeah. So,
Well, that's not in front of the business frontage.
Mhm.
Right. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. And you can pull. Yeah.
This is the.
Oh, right. It's in,
building,
right.
so it's way from the other.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have photo. Yeah. It's right here, like in front of
It's
in front of the doorway. Yeah. Oh,
The sidewalk changes
Here's the
color at
picture
the
right
next
here.
building, so you can see it's
Yeah.
in front, but either way,
Anyway. I
Yes,
just
we will
wanted
be.
to
Oh, sorry.
point out, so the block association that you referred to, Brian.
Mhm.
So I've read their letter. They are in support of you getting the liquor license if you have no outdoor seating. They do not support the outdoor seating.
Brian is here.
Our understanding was that they just didn't want a shed. And I know
I'll
obviously
go to
that-
Brian's here, so
yeah, okay, we can let him speak.
Is there anybody else from the committee before I go?
I do have a couple questions. And, so what's the average check going to be from the a la carte menu? It was 150 omakase, but there were no prices for anything else. What's the average check you're expecting?
Around 150. It's a formal establishment.
So it doesn't matter which way it is. A la carte or omakase is 150.
Yeah, it might be a little less at the bar counter.
Okay, and can you repeat the hours again?
Repeat the what?
The hours, the opening hours.
Yes, the opening hours, I know our closing hours are midnight each week. Opening hour, it's 12 to 12,
Okay,
so
and that those are,
noon to midnight. 7
that's
days
the
a week.
previous license? And, it would be better, I don't know how wide the sidewalk is. Did you measure these? It's not very helpful when we don't know how far out the table is sticking and how much more space is left.
It's 1-2 top. It's up against the business frontage. We will have the full clearance that is required by the DOT. We have a surveyor going out there tomorrow. Unfortunately, this is all very new, so that the surveyors haven't had a chance to
So
get
would
out
you-
to every place
you
yet. But
Send that to us when we can see how wide the sidewalk is.
yeah, it will be
Bill-
a floor plan
Bill-
as is required. The DOT is going to send. it to you
Right, they'll
guys.
submit it when they're doing the DOT and they're gonna have to,
Yeah, but it's not on this diagram.
I know, but
Yeah.
they're gonna have to get the
It'll
approval.
get in your hands.
And if they don't get the approval, they can't have it.
That's right. Yep.
Right.
Please do.
Carter.
So how are you gonna engage with all the local people who come up to your customers at night in the outdoor dining?
All the crazy people, you mean?
I mean, all kinds of people. And that's the focal point of the 6th Precinct Community Council meetings every single month is that engagement. And I'm just wondering, because that's
I mean, this
the
is
main issue for a number of places.
yeah. I mean, hopefully closing at 9 p.m. outside will help us avoid a lot of the craziness out there on that block. But other than that, given that this is given that this is a formal dining establishment with experienced management team and experienced operators, everyone in the building will be trained how to handle.
But that's
a patron.
exactly why I'm asking. It's not, if it were, I wouldn't as be concerned if it were a lesser place. It's because it is more formal. And that is incredibly disruptive to what you're trying to offer to your clientele.
Right.
And
Mm.
these issues they happen all before 9, not
They'll be
after.
trained to handle it in a professional manner. That's all.
What,
I mean,
tell us a little bit about.
I mean,
what does that mean?
without you giving me a specific circumstance, I can't tell you how.
Sure,
the
just
management
general
team-
panhandlers coming up and asking customers for money.
Are you able to tell how they would be?
We have a couple of people in mind. We have a couple of people in mind that we would like to hire as managers. They have plenty of experience. These things does not happen only in West 4th Street. It takes place around the city.
Absolutely.
And part of the training is how to deal with people, whether it's customer passing by, panhandler, people trying to come in and harass you. That's very important for us.
Because one of the things, these structures are so much smaller. What are you going to do when somebody comes in and flips over a table?
Every
Because this is the type of stuff.
Yeah,
that
I've
has been
seen it
happening.
happen. 100%, I agree with you. So the tables will not be set up unless we have a guest in sitting there, then will be set up. And we'll always have someone there. It's not like some restaurants, they have people dining on the curbside and they unattended at all time. We will have someone there at all time. That's part of management training. So it's something that we're going to emphasize on it. So we're not just going to put somebody that's young, just start working in a restaurant yesterday and then put this burden on them. We'll make sure that they're well capable of dealing with the people, all kind of people, not only guests that dine in with us.
And what have you done to just sort of understand the feel in that area?
I've been, personally, I've been in restaurant business for maybe 3 decades. I worked around there. Every location, every corner of Manhattan is completely different, how you treat, not even the people, the passing by, even the dining experience is completely different. So when you are like in West 4th Street or Canal Street, a lot of things can happen. You have to be ready. Your team has to be ready, and you have to approach it in a very professional way. We always try to go in a very diplomatic. We're not going to be aggressive. We're not going to get to that point.
Have you follow any of the local micro media as far as have you read the local Village Sun recently, this week articles on what's happening in the park?
I've seen it happening. I mean, a lot of things have
I mean, all the
changed.
drug busts, or you follow on their Twitter?
Yeah, I don't
So,
follow.
I mean, this is what's happening. I
Yeah.
mean, I hearing two different stories of what's on the ground, what we see, and what you're presenting to us. And so I'm just asking because this.
I totally agree, and I understand where you're coming from. But from my own experience, and this job management, there is no stress on anybody working overtime. This way, when the situation happens, they know how to handle it. Whether, as I said, whether inside the restaurant, outside the restaurant, with guests, passing by, crazy people. So this is New York, and you have to be ready how to.
That's exactly why I'm asking,
Yeah.
because this is the epicenter in our
Yes,
community of this
100%.
issue.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, if that's
We can't, we're not the trainee or the trainers, and we can't, have the training session right here, right now. I can't tell you exactly what training methods will be used, but what we can tell you is that we will, like Mo just said, we will have multiple managers on the premises. They will be trained to handle these scenarios. I mean, we're not the trainers. I can't tell you exactly how they're going to be taught to be trained, but they will be. That's all we can attest to tonight.
Okay, I'm going to go to the public. Brian Maloney.
Hello. I'm Brian Maloney. I'm the leader of our West 4th Street Block Association and our neighborhood action groups that we have throughout the village. And first of all, I was very happy that we had started a dialogue with this group back here. And we were, up until now, we had assumed that they said no to the Roadway dining area. And I'm telling you, fellas, you do not want it out there, because it's not about during your hours of operation. It's about when they leave at 9 o'clock, you're going to have a big mess the next morning every single day. You're going to have to train your people how to clean up shit. You're going to have to train your people how to clean up hypodermic needles. You're going to have to train your people on managing garbage. And you're also going to have an awful lot of 311 complaints, because our group is very large and we absolutely want to support you. But I'm telling you, you don't understand. We lived for 2.5 years in total disbelief. And I'm not exaggerating. Disbelief. Every day, I have twin 13-year-olds. We had to walk over people in that shed. And the way you describe how you're designing the shed sounds exactly like what was there. And it's even worse. And there are going to be no doors to close. Our group says, they were all like, hey, if they can lock it every night, sure, it might be nice. But there's no locked doors, fellas. It is going to be a magnet, as Carter says, every night. And when I tell you every at 9 o'clock, they get there, they start their drinking, they shoot up. You saw the photos I sent to the board. This was a daily occurrence, shooting up on off hours. I'm less concerned about what happens on hours, but that is a true story as well. I mean, there will be people who will harass and steal people's sushi right off their plate. So we want to be good neighbors. We will be good neighbors. But if the Roadway shed comes, I'm telling you, we're not going to be good neighbors. It will be the only shed on the block We have taken 2 full years to clean up our block. If you could have seen West 4th Street, and you all did 2 years ago, we had 20, 30 addicts on every one of our stoops. I've sent you the photos. This is a real, real concern. This isn't about training your staff. This is about an unbelievable situation you're going to put us back into. We're fine with the Sidewalk Cafe. We're fine with that. We're fine with your hours, inside hours. I think the Sidewalk Cafe was 9 o'clock. I'm not sure. But look, we want to be good neighbors. But I'm telling you, when the shed comes up, no one will eat at your establishment. Nobody will. And that's for sure.
Thank you.
And we don't want that. We want your restaurant. We really do. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is there anybody else here from the public? I don't have anybody signed in. Okay, go ahead, Phil.
So I don't know if it's, first of all, thank you for those comments. I don't know if it's just a miscommunication or misunderstanding of the new jargon with all these new rules in place with the DOT program, but Mr. Maloney just mentioned that they don't want a shed. The word shed was used a lot, and that was where I think the miscommunication fell, is that we said, of course we won't have a shed. We don't want, and we saw the photos of what was there. There was a rooftop. It was a much more invasive structure than what we plan on having. You sound like you look like you're about to speak, so go. No, I mean, we really only plan on having the bare minimum, floors and planters.
So I think to his point, though, whether and in some ways, that's great. It's the planters, but those planters are going to stay out there. They're not going to be moved in. And that's what's going to be having people be able to sit in there, whether your tables are just, they can sit on the ground, they're hiding in a barrier after midnight in that area. And now actually this nice open setup that everybody has, I think we're going to start seeing this problem, is you can't lock this stuff up.
Right.
So I think as much as I'm just speaking for myself, it may look better out on the street, not being a quote unquote shed. It still functions where all these people from the park can go in there and sit there and dump stuff and everything else, especially where your location is being so problematic with that. And I think that's what their concern is, whether it has a roof on or not, people can still do the same
Well,
thing.
I mean, they're planters. It's not like 3 walls where it's fully enclosed with, right angles so you can hide behind a corner or anything like that. It's open.
You can still you just walk in, and I walk by there when we leave here, and I go by all the time, whether it has a roof on it or not. It's a corral that people can sit in over here.
Yeah, I hear you. You can't do that. Well, that's what we're pitching. We need the base. It's part of the rules. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I mean, how do other members of the committee feel? I'd love to take your temperature on this.
You can stay till business session if you want to stay till business session.
no.
Well, I'm not yet, Is anybody?
I think that the community has spoken very strongly, and we see it, and we see what's happened at the police community council, even those of us who don't live nearby. And you walk through the park, nobody cares whether there's a roof or not. People are doing drugs brazenly everywhere, and no one wants to provide another place for a drug consumption. And it's not going to be pleasant for you. It's not going to be good for your business. This is a very nice restaurant. It's a very expensive restaurant in some ways. This is not going to be the atmosphere that you're going to be pleased with. Your client is going to be pleased with. That's my.
I mean, I guess I always assume that people do drugs in, in places where they can hide better.
You can hide within those little corners on sitting
But
on.
there aren't
the
even
ground.
corners. I mean,
I'm just going to say nothing stops you from coming back. You can think about that
Yeah.
too,
All right. Can you give me 10
Sure.
seconds?
Going to announce for anybody who's come in late, if you're here on 28 7th Avenue South, We are not hearing that application tonight. They've laid over until April. Sorry for those of you who have heard me say this 3 times, but we had somebody
right.
sit here on Tuesday night for hours for something we weren't hearing.
Out of an act of good faith for our neighbors and for the committee, we are happy to remove the roadway seating from our application.
Great, thank you.
That's
It will
it.
just, you can come back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, is anybody here for Adoro Lee at 287 Hudson Street? I know. That's why I had it written down. Okay, the next application is going to be Sella Luna, New York LLC, 4143 Carmine Street. If someone is here on that application. You know what? I've got somebody from the public who's going to be here, so I'm going to call you. They're not here. So if you don't mind, I'll call you later. Stay. Yes, thank you. The next one I'm going to call is Mariquit Ingalla, doing business as Rosecrans, 7 Greenwich Avenue. Hi. Right. Okay, go ahead.
I came before the board already last year, and it was all approved. I just had to take some time off for my health.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm coming back to move forward with the license, but also just to contest one of the stipulations to have some seating that would be in compliance. Sure. Thank you. Just contesting that one stipulation for some seating along Christopher Street. And I submitted some graphics with measurements that shows that I could stay in compliance with the new sidewalk seating.
So, okay, so just for people that don't remember, you were here in April of 2023. You had, and then the reason you're back is because you didn't move forward. So too much time has passed and you needed to re-notify us. And then you wanted to change the stipulation. Your hours, it's a flower shop,
Cafe.
cafe, and the hours are from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
Correct.
And then let's see, at that time, you agreed to no more than 5 tables and 11 seats adjacent to the storefront on Greenwich and nothing on Christopher. And then you were going to keep the sandwich board in next to the building, and you're going to maintain whatever the 8-foot or whatever the clearance is that you need to be. So on Christopher Street, you're putting benches, if you just want a bench outside, that's a different program. Okay.
Yeah.
But Christopher Street, you have a mailbox, you have a tree pit.
So right where the window is, I have a photo.
Yeah.
I can fit 2 tables and I would be 8 feet from even the fire hydrant.
And I don't see how you have the space there for that.
I've measured, it's like against the wall and then
You're going to have to put a rope around it. You have to
fair.
have wait staff has to be able to go in there. So it's not just, you can't just measure from the end of the bench. And the bench
Well, then I'll just do bench seating along Christopher. It's just to keep it from being super bare. We have a lot of, customers that we want to be able to have some seating for our cafe customers, like just for takeaway.
This is,
It's not 8 feet.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
All right, so that's
the clear path on Christopher Street is 10 feet, not 8 feet, because it's a regional corridor, not a neighborhood.
Oh,
Cormac.
And just so I can be clear what you're asking, because I'm looking at a photo now.
Mhm.
What you're saying is these two tops that are against your window and therefore to the Greenwich Avenue side of the tree pit and the mailbox and the other obstructions before those obstructions
Yeah.
begin. Right. So that might leave you 8 feet there, but I don't think it leaves you 10, but I'm not the expert on this.
Go ahead.
Are we allowed to do bench seating there? It's just we want to allocate the front of Greenwich for table seating and then just for takeaway coffee for customers to sit there. It's the side that gets sunlight all day. So it's just, and our landlord wants us to have something because it can get bare. Just, I was going to add some planters and it's a really kind of.
Yeah, oh, yes, I have a question. I thought I heard you say that there was no seating allowed on Christopher Street.
That was a stipulation that was implemented in the last community board. Someone requested that we have no seating and.
Okay, so is there a stipulation for no seating on Christopher Street?
Yeah, and that's why I'm here is
Okay.
to ask if.
I go by this corner a lot. There's always seating there. There's always people and weather permitting. So I don't see where there is a compliance with the current stipulations.
Oh, I thought the stipulation was for if I get the license.
All right, so I'm not
Are you-
clear on that.
She didn't move
As
forward
long
with the
as-
license at the time, so she doesn't, apparently the complaints, there were a lot of complaints when she was here before about the seating being all over the sidewalk and on Christopher Street.
Yes,
And
yes.
so
Okay.
apparently that only matters when she goes for the license.
Okay, well, that's certainly my observation as well, that there's always been seating, there's always been crowded conditions. And so I'm wondering how this is going to be improved.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say, you don't have the 10 feet there. So I don't know how anything would
I
fit
didn't
there.
realize I thought it was 8.
It's 10 feet. I think we have does anybody else from the committee? I have public to go to. Kate? Leslie, Kate's on here.
Hello. I was here in April of 2023 rather, I'm sorry. And I understood that there was an agreement that was pushed by the unpaid, relentlessly patient committee that there would be no seating on Christopher Street. And as we've all acknowledged, we've all walked by, we've seen the photos, there has always been seating. That promise, that stipulation has never been adhered to as far as I can tell. Now, our problem as community members and the board is that we have very few enforcement abilities. So really the only thing we can do with someone who enters into an agreement not to do something and then just boldly does it is to not recommend that their current application be approved. That's really the only power we have. And it's clear to me that this was a promise that was made not related to the point that a alcohol license was offered, but based on the fact that people need to walk down Christopher Street. So it's my heartfelt thanks to the committee members for all the patient work you do. And I think that the only option will have any guts at all is to recommend this not being approved.
Thank you. Leslie Clark?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I agree with everything that Kate said and everything that Brian said, and I imagine Cormac too. I walk by that corner all the time and I try to avoid it because the chairs have been placed there for over a year, crowding the street. There's a fire hydrant on that corner. It's a very narrow sidewalk. They're always out there. I didn't know that there had been a stipulation before. I'm appalled now to know that In fact, they have been in violation of that stipulation for over a year. Thank you.
Okay, I think that anybody else here from the public on this? No. Well, you're the committee. Okay, I'm going back to the committee. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I do just want to clarify that, though the applicant is correct, that the stipulations are what we agree to support a liquor license application. If you don't go forward in the application, we run into this before. When people duck stipulations, unfortunately, it does go so good faith when you obey the stipulations anyway. But, you know, I don't think it would be accurate to say they're in violation of previous stipulations, right? So.
Okay. You,
I completely understand. I live at 15 Christopher. I've been on the neighborhood like right at that intersection for 12 years. And right outside of my stoop, as I show in the photo, the corridor is maybe 2.5 feet. So I get it. Like I just want to defend myself as someone who lives a mother in the neighborhood. I walk that corridor. And once you get down to the middle of the block at 1315, you have this wide of a block. So I understand how cumbersome it can be to navigate. I was under the assumption that it was 8 feet. I was trying to be in compliance. I was showing everything, you know, measured, I put out measuring tapes. I trained my staff on keeping within a line, and we've done a really good job about that. And we've taken our tables and chairs physically every night. So
so it looks like you can't have it on there because it is 10 feet and you on Christopher.
okay, well, that's a
Okay.
misunderstanding.
Greenwich, you know, and I also just going to say we have a letter in here that the West 10th Street and Greenwich Avenue neighbors supported the application last time with the stipulations, but they have removed that support because, and they sent in a lot of pictures that the seating has not conformed even on Greenwich.
On Greenwich?
On Greenwich, it's been, and I think they,
Was I not supposed to have?
you're supposed to have it. You're supposed to have the clearance on Greenwich. And the pictures you sent today were all nice and organized and everything was very much in order. But the pictures that they sent in from other days were not that way.
Well, it takes like every day when we go check the tables, we have to move it because customers sit down, they move things and we have to move it back.
And
It's part of our
that's,
day-to-day.
and with the new
With the new rules, we'll
rules,
have
you're going to have it's
enclosure.
going to have a border around it.
Absolutely. And I'm fully aware. I went on the call for every time there was an outdoor dining call. Because I want to be in compliance. This is my community. I'm not just someone who owns a business here. I've lived here my entire tenure of New York City, and it is my home. So I do care about rules, and I also I literally serving the community. Like I have no reason to go against them.
Cormac?
Yeah, so I was just looking at today, your new furniture. It looks like it's, you know, like a wrought iron looking things. That looks heavier than the older stuff, right?
It's just more durable. What I had before was what everyone had during COVID. It was easiest to get, but
Yeah,
was
but the
super
thing about what
lightweight.
you had before is that it was very lightweight, and I
Sure.
often saw patrons moving and adjusting it and moving it, and that's why I was asking if this was heavier,
It
make
is.
it harder for them to move.
We actually, because I am, you know, involved in the community in many ways. I'm involved in, you know, supporting the Greenwich Preservation Commission. I'm on the planning committee for the Blooms and Books for the library and the garden. I donate a lot of money to local organizations. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I intentionally got new furniture so that it would be more in line with the aesthetic of a historic building like One Christopher, a little heavier. We had cops that know us because we let them use our restroom. There was homeless people taking our tables and chairs and bringing them to the park. So I did invest in something that was going to be more durable, more long-term. And we even carry them in every night right now. And once we have, you know, if this is granted, and I did apply for the outdoor seating through the dining program, we'll have the roadway so that way it will always be in compliance and with the
Gotcha. Thank you.
You have applied already for the dining?
Yes,
So how did you certify if Christopher Street is a regional corridor and requires a
I
10-foot
didn't do
clearance?
Christopher Street. I just did Greenwich.
Okay, so that application doesn't include Christopher Street. So-
No, I was, I wanted to get it in, and then if this was approved, then I would apply for Christopher Street, but
Okay. All right. So I think that's it.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody? Yep. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next application is going to be 214 Sullivan on premise for restaurant. Okay.
Well, I ruined that. I had broken it. You typically begin? Yeah. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin Korngut. I'm the attorney for.
Make sure you have to raise, and it also, if it's still not, there's a twisty thing, right? Yeah.
My name is Benjamin Korngut. I'm the attorney for the applicant, 214 Sullivan Street, Sullivan LLC. This is an application for an on-premises liquor license at 214 Sullivan Street between Bleecker and West Third Street. I have with me here tonight, Danny Emmerman and Jamie Kenyon, who are two of the principals of the applicant. A little bit about the application itself. This is going to be an Italian restaurant. It's an offshoot of Bottino, which is in West Chelsea. Danny has been an owner of Bottino since it opened in 1997. Was really a pioneer in West Chelsea. He's really become an integral part of the community. We've submitted a lot of letters of support from various community groups in that area, LaGuardia High School, Friends of Hudson River Park. So there's a whole stack of them. I think we have 8 or 9 of them. Jamie is going to be the chef. In terms of the menu, they'll get into that in a little more detail, but it's going to be Italian, house-made pastas, farm to table, produce, and really a contemporary twist on an Italian restaurant. In terms of the space itself, the space has been vacant for some time. Since 2013, we think it was a shared office space. Before that, it was a club known as Sullivan Room for about 5 or 6 years. And then prior to that, it was the Red Lion for, I'm not sure how long, but a long time. It was a club on Sullivan Street. In terms of the actual space, it's going to be 2 floors. The main floor is going to be the main dining area that will be more of a private dining area in the basement. And Danny can talk about that a little bit, but that's a big part of his business at Bottino for galleries, events, smaller, more intimate private events in that space. Jamie and Danny have done a lot of outreach in the community. They've really spent a lot of time knocking on doors on Sullivan Street, getting signatures of people that live on that specific block. The building itself is commercial, aside from one apartment that we're aware of, who we think is the landlord's child. But the rest of the building is purely commercial. And just before I turn it over to Danny and Jamie, I just want to let you guys know that we initially sent this, we're applying for an on-premises liquor license. We did send a revised notice for beer and wine. And the reason for that is that the SLA is now allowing simultaneous applications for on-premises liquor and beer and wine so that people can open with a beer and wine while the full liquor is pending. Do you have any questions about that, Donna? I just
Guidance on that? Did they?
We've received it. I actually had not personally done one of those yet.
Because I think we've gone through this before and I couldn't find any guidance.
There's no guidance on
this,
it.
And
We've been advised
I
by
think you've said this maybe on one other application or I don't.
someone else probably
Somebody
has.
else.
I personally have not done one, but I've been advised by the Deputy Commissioner of Licensing that they're accepting these now. But I don't want to.
But we're evaluating this as an on-premise license.
Exactly.
So,
Okay. So let me turn it over to Danny. Tell you.
Hi, I'm short Danny Emmerman. I know. Also old and short and weak. Okay. All right, let's not exaggerate. I'm not that short. Okay. Anyway, yes, I am the owner or was the founding partner of Botino Restaurant in 1997. Jamie came in as a partner, replacing partners of mine who retired about 3 years ago and gave the restaurant quite a renewed energy and youthfulness. And with his much of his career ahead of him, we want to expand. We've been looking for a space that we feel is suitable and attractive, and also that, which is hard to find, something that allows us. Private dining has been a very integral part of my business. Prior to Botino, I owned a restaurant in Tribeca. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember, 1987, Barocco, and we have a close connection with the art world, and we do a lot of gallery dinners. And that expanded over years to other kinds of corporate events and bridal showers, things like that. And I would say that it's something that has kept us in business, among other things, these many years. And so when we were looking, we love the West Village, and we were looking for a space that would be suitable. The space on Sullivan Street is loft-like and lovely and not too large, but because it has this quite unusual cellar floor with very high ceilings, we envisioned something like a wine cellar, tasting room, and private dining down there. So it spoke to us aesthetically, and I think it suits our business model. We are not loud. We are early to bed people. We are not. It's not a bar. It's a restaurant it's very much wine driven, but we feel that full liquor gives us more opportunities to survive and to thrive, and that we don't want to limit or shoot ourselves in the foot in terms of that. But we're very respectful of our neighbors, and we've been, I think, very good operators. I've been in the business for however many years that is, 40, and at Botino for 27. And Jamie has a lot of experience, particularly in the West Village as a chef in various restaurants, and also has a family. He's not a late night person, so we're not looking for anything. We're really looking to open a beautiful restaurant in your neighborhood.
Okay. Good.
I'm much taller, so I need this to get. Perfect. So yes, my name is Jamie Kenyon. I have opened quite a few restaurants in New York. This is my first time though being a partner. So obviously it's a big drive for me to really make a statement. Agree with Danny that I have 2 young children, so no, it's not going to be a club or a 2 a.m. kind of spot. That's not my thing. I have to be up at 6 a.m. every day with kids. So I have a lot of experience in the village. I was the CDC at Lupa for 3 years. I opened up Burla from the ground up with Gabe Stallman and Mike Toscano. I'm a massive fan of the village. I've also done a lot of corporate. I was a corporate chef for Easily for 3 years around the entire New York City. Now it's 3 of them at the 2 locations. Opened up many restaurants, and I'm really excited about the possibility of doing this. I think that, as what Danny said, what really alters this location is the fact it has the upstairs and downstairs. So you can have private dining, which really, in today's world, is how do you survive with restaurants such small margins? That's kind of our bread and butter at Botino. So it's something that we think that we can have it be very elegant, very, very beautiful, and again, not a mental crazy nightmare for the people around us. And yeah, that's it. So thank you.
The hours 10 on Sunday, closing at 11, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, midnight, Thursday, and 1
Yes,
Friday and Saturday, okay.
that's correct.
And so then you checked off private parties. So does that mean private parties of the whole space, or are you just talking about the private? I guess my question would be, if you're talking private parties of the entire space, how often do you think something like that would happen a year, about approximately?
I should
There.
on my heels.
You can take it out too, it just.
Oh, I'm always somebody
Yeah.
have to hold it for me. I'm shaking like a leaf, unaccustomed as I am
okay.
to public
No.
speaking.
No.
It's really hard to say. A Botino does a lot of private events, and these private events can mean a party of 18 that wants a private space, a party of 30 without closing the restaurant. We do full buyouts. A Botino can be a wedding. We have happen to have a beautiful backyard. That's an amenity that we won't have in this space, and that certainly drives a lot of our private events. So we're kind of speculating that there is a market within the West Village, which does primarily have very small, cozy restaurants for somebody who wants to have a corporate event for 20, 30 people, something like that from time to time. I guess we would hope, but in terms of a full buyout, if you're asking that in particular,
Yeah.
I think that would be rare. It's not a space that lends itself to a wedding or something like that, but
Because I think you've got 36, I was just
downstairs.
counting while you were talking, 36
Yeah.
downstairs.
I mean, there's a lot to be figured out in terms of the design and layout of that space.
Right.
So that's kind of a first look at it.
So I think maybe once a month max.
Were you asking full buy?
For the whole place, yeah.
I mean, I would doubt that it would be once a month.
Okay,
I wouldn't anticipate more. It's not really an event space per se.
right, okay,
It's a
and then,
restaurant with an event with private dining. Options.
and then my other question, just with the private dining, is that means more people coming at the same time and leaving at the same time.
They are generally, yes.
So is there a plan in place? Sullivan Street's a narrow little street. I think you've got residents across the street just for the for hire vehicles. That's always my concern, is those for hire vehicles. If there,
well,
is there a no? Because I think there's.
Traffic created by Uber.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because they sit and wait sometimes, so there might need to be a plan
my
to
experience,
make sure that they
Botino-
don't sit and wait.
Of course, Botino's at 10th Avenue, so it's quite a different story.
Right.
We don't have cars sitting and waiting.
don't,
It's
okay.
not like it was in the late 80s with drivers pulling up and waiting.
Right.
It's not like that. I mean, everybody grabs an Uber and they go.
They go.
I don't think
Okay.
it'll be a problem, a traffic issue.
Okay, and then I see you have outdoor seating on here as well. It looks like you've done measurements. It looks like you've kind of looked at the new guidelines and you have the service aisle in here and everything. Where that you have the intake air handlers I see on here. There's also I think there's some kind of vault or something in the roadway. So I'm just pointing that out.
That's on the sidewalk. You're talking about those.
I'm talking
boxes?
about, no, in the road bed. It looks like it's a transformer.
Oh,
This requires, if the transformer requires a 3-foot clearance.
which is the transformer?
Right here.
That thing.
Oh, okay.
So
Certainly whatever the regulation.
I'm just alerting you to that it may
Yeah,
be,
it
you
may
may not be able to
yes,
do what you have written down on the plans. It would be is it 3 feet? Yeah, it looks like, right. You might have to take out, right, because I drew it on my guide, you might have to take out a whole row in that road bed. Just pointing this out
Once
so
we have
that
a
if your
better
plan is all,
understanding of both the rules and the physical.
okay,
space. I
Cormac,
wasn't aware of that as a transformer.
yeah.
So my only concern about this application is about that road bed. I very frequently walk down that block of Sullivan Street, and it's in an oasis of quiet. It's a very calm, quiet block, in part because it doesn't have a bunch of restaurant road beds and things on it. So I am concerned that this road bed would have a much more outsized impact in this location than road beds at many other streets or locations or things like that. So can you tell me more about the road bed, the approach to this, and how integral is it to your operation that you have the road bed? Or the outside at all, I should say.
Right. I fully understand how these sheds have been but really unattractive, and they really condense the street. And there is they're one, and particularly further south on Sullivan Street. Now it's too low. Further south on Sullivan Street, where they're, really blocking the street. And yes, it is true that at that end of Sullivan Street, it opens up, which makes it look to us like, a more realistic option to have some kind of presence there that brings attention to the to the storefront, for one thing, which is rather relatively small and kind of impinged upon by the awnings of the neighbor, just to give it a physical, a presence and some outdoor life. But
This is the dermatology space right now.
right,
Yeah.
it's next door is the dermatology space.
Right, yeah.
So
The law across from an entire residential condo complex.
we are
Yeah.
across from a residential building, so there's no other restaurants in that exact area that will, be creating a narrowing effect that you have further south on Sullivan Street. So I envision something very, very simple aesthetically. I don't envision anything resembling a shed, certainly, or anything even that's permanently covered or any kind of permanent thing. We have a lot of storage space. I would imagine bringing everything in. So, I share your concern, but I hope that that would not be the presence of
There was
the way
an
we would do.
outreach done.
Sorry.
I don't know if it was done specifically to that building.
Well, we were in front of the building. We spoke to some people coming and going, as many as we could get to stop and speak to us in this political season. And we didn't meet with anybody who wasn't, I don't think, one person expressed concern about garbage. And I explained that, commercial garbage pickup is much more managed and manageable than residential, and that the rules now that everything is covered, and we have a garbage room, we have storage space, so it's not going to be ever any kind of garbage containers on the street. That was her concern. That building appears to be very soundproof. It's quite a facade, and I don't think that any sound would emanate from our restaurant at any time. I don't see how it could. There's no open windows or anything, and we don't have loud music. Everyone else seemed to be very happy that there was an Italian restaurant, as if that was a novelty, a shortage in the West Village. And they said, "What kind of restaurant are you opening?" Italian. I love Italian. Okay. What kind of restaurant would you not support? So, but we got quite a few signatures of people who live at 215. People were very nice that were willing to speak to us, and very, very supportive and sweet.
I don't know this for a fact, but does that building have a condo or co-op board?
I don't know. I think it's a condo building.
The one across the street, not the ones above. Yeah.
They must have a board.
So, but you didn't talk to the board. Okay, thank you.
And the outside was closing at 10. That's what time you have down for that.
See, that seems a little late for me for that block.
9:30.
Can we close it at 9?
9.
We say 9:30. This way we get everybody in. Just to kind of coincide with the closing of the restaurant, the kitchen.
I would really prefer 9, but so
does that mean we stop serving at 9?
Yeah.
And you ask people to leave. You don't take any more seating after 9.
Right.
I can agree to that.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the committee? Katie?
Yes, please. So I have a standard question. We'll start with that. What will the average check be?
Well, right now our average check at Botino is about $75 a person for dinner and about $50 for lunch. So I
Okay.
imagine it'll be something similar. We might start a little bit lower price to ingratiate ourselves. And that being said, we do, as at Botino, we do quite a bit of, as I said, private dining, and that does bring the check average up. So it's a little hard to say if you yourself are coming a couple or an individual for a meal, pasta, glass of wine, or martini, God willing, salad. I would suppose that would be about $60 a person. But then the average goes up because of the opportunity to do private dining, which is more expensive.
Thank you. And, going back to this whole issue of the community, you have a lot of signatures. Some of them are there was a whole page of signatures that just had apartment numbers and no addresses.
Those are the, yeah, I think those are people that are in 214, which are actually the suites above us, which I don't, they're not actually residential neighbors.
They were-
They were nice enough to sign, but yeah.
Okay, so that was a little confusing. Thank you.
They're, I think, commercial.
Did you reach out to BAMRA, which is
We
the
did, didn't we?
Bleecker area?
You sent them an email. I never heard back.
Not sure
Okay.
if we're part of that.
Would you consider an 11 PM close on Thursday? That's really a weeknight, and this is a residential street. And that,
Yes, I would.
thank you. That would be very
I would
much
stipulate that.
appreciated.
That's-
Donna, did you hear that?
Anybody else from the committee? Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious, did you talk to the person who lives next door on the ground floor next to you? At 212?
Who lives on the ground floor?
This is a residentially zoned area, so the predominant use on the ground floor is residential, not business.
We were
So-
just outside the space talking to people as they walked by. We didn't knock on any doors per se.
Because I
So we
just,
have-
they're the people who would be most impacted.
There's a ground floor residence there, but the
Yep.
212, there's a fortune teller in the basement, right?
Well, yeah, but the ground floor residence, I mean, that's
Uh-huh.
what, and then the building next to that's a ground floor residence. The building across the street is
We
ground
didn't
floor
knock on
residence.
doors. no.
We thought that was a bit intrusive, so it was more of a ways outside. If you walk past, we would try and catch.
Yeah.
We didn't want to.
Jumped it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we didn't bang on people's doors. We thought it was a bit intrusive. We just stood on both sides of the street, and then as people walked past, we were a bit concerned about banging on and say, "Hey, we're not going to disturb you, but here we are disturbing you." So it's just that was our approach.
Yeah, I mean, because it's the reverse is what you're actually going to be doing is when you have the people sitting right outside.
In terms of the
Their
road- In
homes.
terms of the roads, the road.
Well, yeah, either way. So I mean, just them knowing, just having a conversation, irrespective of whatever they may say, 'cause
Sure.
this is a huge change.
Sure.
Because it was never previously permitted to have outdoor dining in residentially zoned areas. So
Right.
that's more the issue because then, I mean, that's a huge change. Obviously, if you had somebody outside your living room window suddenly all the time, it's a tremendous change to what's going on. And then, also during the street or during the day, this area on the street from the existing parking signs is where, loading and unloading happened because it's a no parking 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So the roadbed dining is actually taking away what reduces the congestion here because of double parking or even just trucks stopping in the street.
Right.
They're able to come over here. So that's another replacement of something that services the whole community is an area where people can pull over. Roadbed dining. So those are my two issues.
Okay. I don't see any, is there anybody here from the public on this? I didn't have a sign up sheet. Yeah, come on. You have to, yeah, you have to come up and you also need to fill out a speaker card when you're done speaking, please. Okay. But-
The appearance, but
Okay,
I didn't know whether I was.
okay. You're welcome to speak and fill out the card afterwards.
There is a lot of.
Just one second.
Excuse me.
Come up to the microphone, state
sorry.
your name.
I'm so
and
sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Still duty. Hello, I'm a resident for a while, and we do actually.
Your name?
Bill Duty. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I thought.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of traffic on Sullivan Street. For some reason or another, it congests up on the 3rd Street and close to the park. There were people leaning on horns, the whole controversy. I think this would cause a lot of traffic and aggravate that very much. I mean, sometimes it's very, very aggravating. The other few things is, Sullivan is quiet. Good for Sullivan Street, but also good for McDougal and good for Thompson and good for the other streets around because it reminds people who are strolling around often, they're the first people, it's the first time they've ever come to the village, reminds them, there are people who are living here. And it's so valuable, I think, to all the streets, including Sullivan Street where I live. there are events against the wall. Well, these are going to have to be dealt with. You know, they're spiky. They have spiky covers because people from the clubs used to come drunk and you know, smoke a
Yeah,
joint and sit there.
Just gonna say, speak to us, speak to us.
Excuse me. So those are going to be dealt with, and that has something to do with clearance. You can't put you know, golden ropes or red ropes around them. They'll have to be dealt with in some way, and they'll reduce the passage for pedestrians. And then I wonder, you know, I see these food sheds. By the way, police patrol Bleecker Street. They have a visible presence. They walk up and down Bleecker Street, and that gives some safety and discourages drug people from the park, which is only a block away. It encourages them, it discourages them from coming down and doing something in the Bleecker Street food sheds. But this food shed will be isolated and all alone, sort of like up in the middle of Sullivan Street. It won't be patrolled by police. I don't think the Bleecker Patrol are going to come up and check to see if anybody's in there. It could become a real popular place for people from Washington Square Park and other places and clubs to come up and find a place where they could drink and smoke privately, alone. And it's kind of dark and private and quiet, and people have talked about that. The other thing is we've seen sometimes that a restaurant comes to a quiet, isolated place and thinks they have room to spread out. So they're not just in front of the restaurant. There's a dental place next door. We can put a few tables there. We can put a waiter's station there, or we can put a wine cooler there. It just expands. It just grows. And I'd like to see some assurance that they're going to keep in their place. Another thing is, you know, the garbage pails were replaced by these plastic bags, which I thought worked pretty well. Maybe rats ate into them. Now there's the plastic garbage bins. And these hard plastic garbage bins, there are a couple of restaurants here on Sullivan Street that think they can leave them out all the time. All the time. They never come back in. So what's the restaurant going to deal with these? How's the restaurant going to deal with these garbage bins? Are people, including pedestrians and residents, going to walk past a closed restaurant, people using the food shed for whatever the hell they're going to do, and then so I'm wondering about all of that. Police, food shed, you know, events, etc. I hope I've covered it. I covered a lot, but I've thought about it. I live there.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Excuse me.
Fill out a
Thank you very
speaker
much.
card, please.
Thank you.
Speaker card.
Sure thing.
Yep, thank you.
Just to address a couple of his concerns on the
Come up to
area
the
covered by
microphone. Thank you, Jamie.
the area covered by the Sidewalk Cafe or the roadbed seating. That's now, as I'm sure you know, is in the new rules. It's very clear you can't spread to neighboring buildings, even if you have some kind of lease with them or some kind of agreement. And hopefully, I'm sure you guys are hoping that as part of this new program, there will be actual enforcement of these rules. So yeah. So we're happy to stipulate that the Sidewalk Cafe will only be in front of our storefront, and same thing for the roadbed cafe. For the garbage issue, as Danny said, that was one issue raised by one of the residents. They will have part of what they like about this space is that it has this large area downstairs. There will be a dedicated garbage room. Danny's been doing this for a long time. He knows the issues with garbage. He obviously has a garbage carting company, so it's going to be out for as short amount of time as possible out on the street. And especially if they have seating out there, they're not, they don't want bags of garbage sitting out there.
Okay.
to that point, I mean, a lot of this is addressed by the city. It's obvious we have all experienced what happened during the pandemic, how that outdoor seating was first a lifeline and then became something really unsightly. And luckily the city, I mean, I think we all feel the same way. The city is dealing with that by creating some universal rules and regulations, and I hope some sort of design guidelines, because it's pretty hideous in most places. Wouldn't want it. I don't have it at Botino. And garbage, of course, the rules now are that they must come out in containers with lids. In our case, both at Botino and in this new space, the garbage cans are not left outside for people to take. They're the last thing that go out when we close the restaurant. They're the first thing to come in the morning, not a time when people are throwing garbage in there, but the garbage has been picked up. The containers are stacked up and they're brought into the basement. So, that's being dealt with both by the city in efforts to improve garbage pickup and cleanliness of the cities, and of course by us in conforming to those laws. So understood about those issues. My other feeling was that those blocks are rather dark, that some sort of presence on the streets or even the lights of a restaurant will bring some light to the sidewalk. It is a lovely block, and we're very respectful of that.
So on Mondays is somebody, because you open at 5 on Mondays, is somebody there earlier in the day to deal with the trash on Monday,
Sunday night garbage doesn't go out, if I'm not mistaken.
it doesn't go out. That's right. I guess it does. So it,
Yeah,
so it
we
doesn't
also
matter.
have, no matter what, even at Bettino, we have overnight porter. We have one overnight porter every night just to give it a thorough clean and everything.
Okay.
Their job is always bring the trash into it's.
Oh, great.
But yeah,
Okay.
Bettino right now, we have 7 days a week, overnight porter, just to, it's a big restaurant, so make it clean.
Okay. So anybody else from the committee have anything? No? Okay. All right. That's
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Okay, the next application is going to be Sulaluna, New York, at 4143 Carmine Street. Hi. Okay, adjust the microphone so
Yeah.
that it's.
Hello, I'm Lorenzo. I'm from Italy. I'm moving there. I moved there 2 months ago for opening a bookshop bistro, Italian bookshop bistro called Sulla Luna. My family and I own one in Venice, Italy. It's we opened that in 2017. We do in our bookshop bistro, we do testing of wine, of cheese, and workshop with illustrator. We want to bring there in the West Village our idea and our concept, and a lot of illustrator and artists from Europe that we know very well to create a connection with the European illustrator of books, art books. We mainly will do illustration books. So art books, not novel, or at least not mainly novel. Yeah. Also, my family owns a small field for the Prosecco in Italy, in Veneto. It's very, very small for organic Prosecco. And we only sell that wine in Venice, in our bookshop, and we want to bring it here in New York City. We're asking for a full library license. We do some live music. We want to do tasting of wine and workshop of illustration with classic music played live in background. These events will be only downstairs because we have a basement, and in the ground floor will be only background music. Normally we play very calm music, like Billie Holiday in Venice is our must, and a lot of New Yorkers come to visit us in Venice. And so we had an idea to bring this concept here, to make the dream of my parents bigger and grow with them.
Okay, and your hours were 8 to 11.
Yeah, we ask these hours, but I hope
to not use this all these hours. We want to close early in the week. I think that we'll close at 9. We'll do dinner also, but it's not so formal. Our concept is to bring vegetarian food. It's not like pasta or lasagna or pizza. It's more like little tapas of organic food from Italy. It's very small plates, very high quality, and that. Also, we will have a big selection of teas and wines. So, yeah.
So, so it's on the ground floor in the basement. I'm just going to say that the certificate of occupancy doesn't have basement use on it.
With the lawyer, they talk to the landlord, and because the landlord has done works in 2010. That and he asked for the permission of use the basement for dinner, and we have all the documents. I saw that.
Okay, because there's a violation on it from 2021 that says a certificate of occupancy indicates seller to be legally approved as storage, and that there was illegal occupancy noted at the cellar. It's been converted to eating and drinking establishment with up to 28 patrons in connection with the restaurant upstairs, and that what they put on it was you have to discontinue the illegal occupancy.
Yeah.
So there's nothing existing that shows you can use that basement.
Yeah, we talked before, signed the deal with the landlord, with my lawyer, and and also with the lawyer of the liquor license. And they certificate that we can do the appliance. They talk with the landlord, not myself, because not my.
Right. No, I get that. I think this is if we don't have something that shows that you're able to be there and use it that way, it's very difficult for us to say you can use it that way when there's nothing that's showing it can be used. That's the first thing we usually ask is, are you allowed to be there? And what I see is something that says that clearly you're not allowed to be in the basement. You can be in the ground floor, but this says you can't be in the basement. And that's a problem. That's a problem for you. Yeah.
I worried about that when I saw the CEO of the specific building. So before coming here, I was secure that we have no problem with that because the landlord has the paper.
Yeah.
All the documents.
But the building department doesn't have a paper, I think. And that's the problem with it.
The landlord didn't contest the violation. So there's a penalty that was imposed and it's due. They had a court date that they could have gone to and they chose not to go to it. Or they went and they lost.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so I actually had another thing I wanted to ask you about, but I wanted to speak to this for a minute. I can't speak for the committee, but based on the way that we do this process and the way I don't believe that we can approve this without getting more clarity on that basement. So you might want to consider whether you want to lay this over or something like that until you can come back to us with something. It's just a thought.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Well, I have someone here from the public that's going to speak. So you just step back, we'll let them speak and then, do you want to, okay. Okay, do you want to go first, Katie? Go ahead.
Yeah, I see who's over there. Have you spoken to the Carmine Street Block Association?
We sent email. The lawyer sent me a list of all email of the all blocks association, and I sent an email right by myself to all the association. Yeah.
And did anyone answer you?
Yeah. We had 2 answers, both positive. Yeah.
Did they send you an email to that effect?
I'm sorry.
Did they send you a positive email or was it a phone conversation?
No, no, an email is in the paper that the lawyer prepared. Yeah, we have two positive.
Okay, I don't remember. Did you see them?
Send it into our office?
Yeah, and I have a copy made from the lawyer with also the answers included. And yeah, I did.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah, I'm spinning. I'm waiting, but it's okay. Well, but David is here, so. Okay, let me go. Cormac, go ahead.
Yeah, and I also just, don't lose heart. I like your proposal very much. This is a technical problem. We have to get clarity on that, on whether you're legally allowed to use that space. I did have one question though, looking at your application questionnaire. You left blank the question about windows. Do the windows in the front on the ground floor of your place, do they open or are they fixed windows?
No, they open.
They do open, so they open out like this, according to Stanley. Okay, so that
inside.
they open up. So that's important for us to know because it'll have an impact on the times that they close and things. So thank you.
Right.
You're right.
Okay, David?
I'm David Gruber. I am president of the Carmine Street Block Association, and I speak to you tonight in that capacity. So we never had any notification, or nobody's reached out to me or anybody else in the organization. I spoke to the lawyer yesterday, which was the only number that was on the application that I could find. The other one was a number in Italy. And said he had not met the applicant yet, and the conversation was yesterday. So he said to me they will take an undertaking that they will not use the basement. That's what the lawyer said, but the lawyer is not here. He said we will not contravene any of the buildings department or any other regulations that govern the space. And I said, well, when you send that into the community board, I assume you haven't gotten anything. Okay, so his name is Robert Romano, who you may have before you. His plans do show seating in the basement. It also shows an oven in the basement. I ran in this space for a very, very, very long time. We always knew that the basement was illegal. We told the Blossom who had it years ago. We told other people who had it. And, I said, it's illegal. Someone's going to call the buildings department on it. And it's an open staircase. If there's a fire, it's a terrible situation there. They have a shed that is in front of the real estate office. That has nothing to do with their restaurant. I was told by Blossom that the landlord gave them permission to put it in front of the building. I said, well, it's not the landlord's. The landlord doesn't decide that, actually. This was during the wild and crazy days during the pandemic when, your neighbor could give you permission to extend the shed. So that shed has to come down respective of what goes on here. We could talk to the landlord about it, but the applicant should know that the regulations are that it cannot expand beyond the frontage of the store. And this is not just a few inches, this is 20 feet beyond the store. So beyond that, it is, I agree with Cormac, it's an interesting concept. Of course, we have to show them. I'll have a side talk with them later. But you guys do what you need to do. But I have to tell you, it's a terrible situation in the basement there. It was never supposed to be anything but that storage. Thank you.
I just for the witness, and Donna can correct me if I'm wrong, but my reading of the application is they have no road bed in this application. They are not seeking any road bed.
Oh, that's not true.
Really? Sidewalk.
It says
only, I think.
sidewalk, but who knows,
There's a drawing, there's a sketch.
No, there's a diagram that shows 20 feet of shed in the roadbed.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Okay, thank you for telling us that.
Yeah, no, otherwise we would not mention it. And we're okay, you know, if they want to have tables and chairs outside, we're okay with
Yeah,
that.
it's the
It's
last
just
page.
that we're trying to clean this. Carmine Street, this is nothing to do with it, hasn't been cleaned in 4 years. It's all restaurants. You could imagine what goes on there at night. So, you know, after restaurants close. In any event, I will have a talk with them. But the big problem, of course, for public safety is the basement.
Right. Got it. Thank you.
You and I need to talk, okay? All right, you finish here. And then
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Does anybody else from the committee, Bob?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that you understand what is being requested here.
Yeah.
Okay. A layover means you're going to go put it over for 30 days. You're not going to go to the state liquor authority. You're going to come back and try to work with the block association and then with the community board. I just want to make sure you knew that. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the basement is a big deal. I looked at the application that was brought before us in 2017, Blossom, nothing about a basement.
Okay.
So we know it's illegal. And so, you know, it's your business plan. The upstairs is very small. You know, that back, obviously they were using that downstairs. So I'm just saying your business plan is important. Okay. And I get that, but the basement, you know, the other problem with Blossom is they used to open their doors and blast music. So they're really not a very good, let's just say the relationship with the prior operator is not a good one. So I just want you to know that as well, because you're the one, we want someone to come into the spot, but it does seem like the prior operator is making it very difficult. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Katie?
And,
I'll try to remember all the questions.
and when you come, please bring some paper copies of your,
Okay, and the lawyer didn't.
Didn't tell you.
Yeah,
So-
I'm so sorry.
So,
Okay,
but so
okay.
you'll have to send something into the office tomorrow to let them know that you want to lay this over to our office
Tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Get the lawyer.
or get the lawyer to,
Actual email saying we're going to put it over to people.
Okay.
Going forward. The lawyer should know that. Okay.
Okay, an email to these others.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Or if you want to withdraw it and come back when you get because you may not be able to solve the building situation in a month. And if you need that basement, we're going to need something that shows that you can use it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And thank you. very
Okay,
much.
and then you two can go talk in the back and exchange
Okay.
whatever. Right, thank you
Thank you very much.
very much. Okay, the next application is going to be Cornelia Street Bar LLC, 162 West 4th Street. This is an on-premise for a restaurant in the ground floor and cellar.
You guys to lower it a little bit. Yeah. Hi.
You can it'll angle up if you need to angle it up or whatever. I mean,
Okay, I think this will work. So hi, Ben Savitsky, Bernstein, Rado and Savitsky. This is an application for Cornelia Street Bar LLC. It's at 162 West 4th Street. That is the corner of Cornelia and West 4th Street. A lot of people might know it. It is currently being operated as OPA. And then before that, it was, I'm going to butcher this, but Caravas Creek, Caravas Taverna. It's been operated for about 30 years with the license. It's a 4 a.m. license. This is Jeff Bell and Sabato Seguria. Did I say that right? You might remember them if you were on SLA Committee 1. They were here on Tuesday night for a different application on Crosby Street. This has nothing to do with that. But if you didn't hear their background, They operate many establishments here in the city as well as internationally, one in Hong Kong. Their most famous of which is Please Don't Tell in the East Village. It is not only celebrated here in New York, but it is actually won Best Bar in the World internationally twice and has been recognized by James Beard as a great bar program. And it's constantly one of the best bars in the city. And I say that not to brag, but I say that because they operate with a 4 a.m. license in the East Village. They have a great relationship there. They've never had a violation from the State Liquor Authority. All this just to say that they are good operators. This space, which has been licensed for 30 plus years, 2 floors, we are going to have a ground floor restaurant and a cellar intimate cocktail lounge. The idea is that it is going to be Mexican themed. The ground floor restaurant is going to be a taqueria style. We included a copy of the menu in the application: burritos, tacos, bowls, all that stuff. Downstairs is still going to continue the Mexican theme, but it's going to be a cocktail experience that you pretty much can't find anywhere else. Intimate setting, usually groups of 2, that skews a little bit older in demographic. The setup on the first floor is going to be 40 seats with 10 tables, 1 stand-up bar and 12 bar stools. The downstairs is 54 seats at 20 tables, 1 stand-up bar and 12 bar stools. In our application, we have the hours of operation of the ground floor as 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily, and the cellar we had at 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. daily. We've had some conversations with the local community groups, notably the Carmine Street Block Association, the Central Village Block Association, and the West Village residents, and we agreed to reduce our hours in the cellar from that 4 a.m. down to 2 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and then the 4 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Also, as part of that discussion with those community groups, we agreed, if you look at our application, we did have outdoor seating in the form of roadbed and sidewalk. We're going to take that out of the application, and we agreed that we would not apply for that for a period of 3 years. That 3 years is going to give us a chance to show the residents in the neighborhood that we are good operators. We're going to get a handle on this new program, and hopefully we can come back if we think that it's necessary. Only recorded background music, all doors and windows closed by 10 p.m.
And you're not going to use the Cornelia Street door for just emergency? Yeah.
Sorry. I forgot I was with an audience. Yeah, the Cornelia Street, it's a staircase on Cornelia. That's more or less a emergency egress. And then patrons will be going in and out of West 4th.
Okay.
Which is the same setup as now, right?
Yeah, the same setup. I never attended patronized OPA, but I'm guessing that's how they did it.
And so on Cornelia Street, you're not gonna, there's nothing being used. There's no doorway being, are you using the corner doorway? So you're gonna use the west, you're gonna use that.
Oh, yeah, the one that's right at the corner. Yeah.
You're gonna use the one at the corner and you're gonna use the one on West 4th, but you're not going into the ground floor.
Yeah,
on
we're not entering
Cornelia
the
Street
cellars.
either,
Yeah, that
because there was an entrance showing. You said that's not an entrance. That,
That was my poor drawing. I guess the new one didn't.
to us. Okay, so there's not an entrance there. There's just the one that's on the basement that goes down that says emergency.
It is not a entrance. There is a doorway that is there that goes out there, but that is not our entrance for patrons. Everything will be coming in on West 4th Street. Do we
So
put the
on
updated?
ground floor, just looking at your plans, so the corner where the streets intersect, there is a door there that you are using?
Yes, that is the existing door
Okay.
that is there. Yes.
And then there's another doorway further down Cornelia Street?
That is not being used.
That's not being used.
Correct.
And
Just
then there's the doorway on West 4th.
Correct.
Off the corner?
Yes.
Okay.
So the West 4th and the corner are the
Both gonna
entrances.
be used.
Correct.
Yeah, that would be helpful because it was very confusing for me too. Okay, and Cormac, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, make sure I heard. So all outside dining is off the table for now for some 3-year period, and then you might come back, right?
If we'd like to, yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Bob?
Yeah, when does the 3 years start?
Start when they open their doors.
When they open the doors, okay. And when do you expect that to be?
as soon as possible.
Okay. And so is this a transfer?
It is not a transfer, no.
So you're able to get some sort of temporary license?
We're hoping that we'll get an ALJ, a positive ALJ report, and we'll apply for a temporary permit, yes.
Right, and so you can open with a beer and wine? Or how are you able to do that so quickly? That's all. I'm just trying to figure out what the.
Oh, it's going to be, I mean, it's going to be probably 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
But I mean, they do have some work to do in the space.
Okay, so so the 3 years would start after they open in about 4 to 6 months.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, but there was just one thing I forgot to mention. The downstairs area is reservation only, and it is only seated table service. There is no walking in and, getting a Coors Light and walking around the cellar. It is all reservation only and seated table service.
Katie?
What is your private party business plan?
What are private, I'm sorry, what's your private party? It's not a major part of our business. I would imagine that we'd be doing one a month if we did that. At Please Don't Tell, we've done maybe 3 last year, Jeff? 2 or 3 last year. So it's not something that we're actively marketing.
So
Typically, the parties we do at PDT, which are very few and far between, are a 2-hour party from 5 to 7 at opening hours. They're not later in service. I don't really like doing private parties, so I don't plan on doing a lot of them.
So you would agree to 12 a year?
12 is fine.
Would you agree to an ending time for them? Like if you had a private party, it's not going till the 4 a.m.? Is that, how does that work? Can you just explain, just explain it? Because
For business private parties, if you happen to book one in the middle of the service, it's a disruption because you have to stop seating, clear it out, flip the space, and then you try to fill it back up again. So it's kind of inefficient. So you have to do it, usually push people to the beginning of it. Hardly, I've never done an event from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. But
Yeah, I mean, we would not be doing private parties till 4 a.m. I'd
Okay.
say most of the events that we do, maybe they'd end at 1 o'clock if they
Okay.
were to do, but if someone was to do a buyout.
would you
but
stipulate to that then?
Happy to
I
say,
just,
yeah.
I mean, my concern is that number of
Understand, yeah.
people going out to the street at 4
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. And just, Katie, were you done? Because you were going, I interrupted you.
Yeah, sorry, my husband is overseas and trying to call me. Could you just, I was asking it what the number is. Did you agree to 12 a year max? Okay, thank you.
I'm just, okay, so we're talking about the Thursday, Friday and Saturday or something at the 4 a.m., right? Because it's 2 a.m. Yeah, okay. I'll make sure I got that.
The 4 a.m. is only for the cellar. The ground floor is always 2 a.m.
And then could you just, is it one doing business as, or is it 2 DBAs? How are they functioning together or apart?
So they operate together. The kitchen on the ground floor supports the basement, but they are going to be using different trade names.
Okay, and so people will,
Our current business in the East Village does the
Right.
same thing. So we have Criff Dogs. And then we also have Please Don't Tell. Both the same LLC. It's just guest facing as Criff Dogs. It's like if you were to walk into a Kentucky Fried Chicken with a Pizza Hut and a Taco Bell, all the same company, but just 3 different trade names on the front.
so then just explain to me, if you're not using that Cornelius Street door, which is great, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but how people are then entering through the same doorway?
Yes.
How is that working logistically? Just even
We have
for
a host
somebody
at
coming-
we have the host at the top of the stairs. So when you walk in on the West 4th Side Street, that is the entrance to the taqueria for table service there. And then right to the right immediately is the stairway that goes down to the basement. And so that's where the hostess or host would stand to make sure that they had a reservation or to guide them to be seated upstairs.
Okay, and like you said, downstairs is at all times reservation only? Okay. Brian?
Okay, could I just get a clarification on the outdoor seating? Are we saying we're taking it off off the table. It's no longer there. One part of the application or the questionnaire said there was sidewalk seating.
I don't believe there's a space for that, and that was never an intention.
Doesn't
We said
seem
yes.
like it.
No.
But the diagram showed roadbed seating.
Correct. And this was before we had the conversation. We submitted this prior to speaking with the block associations. So for us, it's important to, there's a lot of new legislations. We don't know how those are going to work out, and also to kind of earn the trust with the neighbors. And if we decide that maybe there's something that it applies on the road, but there's nothing in our immediate plans to explore that at all.
Thank you.
I just want to point out the reason I think Brian is confused, right, is because the questionnaire does say sidewalk, the addendum says the roadbed, so. Anybody else on the committee? Okay, I have people from the public here, so let me go to that. Lee Arnson, Leslie Clark, Kathy Arnson. Leslie Clark again.
Think this is okay. Can you hear?
Yeah, yep, great.
Kathy Arnson, Central Village Block Association. Thank you all for all the work that you do. We actually live on Cornelia Street, so we paid very close attention to what was going on here. We met with them, the West Village and Carmine Street. We met with them, the applicant, and we had a good discussion, and we think we worked out our differences, and we had a lot of back and forth conversation, and I think it worked out well, and we support the application.
Okay, and you're okay with the 4 a.m. with them? I know, I was reading back on the past things, and I know the past operator, I think from what I read, there might have been some issues with the 4 a.m. The one before that one, you had good relationships with, which is why you gave the one in the middle, the 4 a.m. And so you had a good conversation with them, I gather.
Yeah, I wasn't really, I don't think I did much with the operator before.
Okay.
But because of the type of business this is, and also they did cut back from they wanted 7 days, 4 a.m. And they did cut back to the just Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I think we agree with that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you. I'm Leslie Clark. I'm with West Village Residents Association. I too was involved in the negotiation and the back and forth. And we are happy with it. West Village Residents is happy with it because the local block association is happy with it. We thought it was a good arrangement and we support it. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I just wanted to say I was heartened to see these.
Start with your name.
My name's Leif Arnson. I'm with her, but I live on Cornelia Street for many years. I used to have a pint of Guinness in the same place many years ago when it was just a quiet bar. I just wanted to say it's heartened to see the working with the community, and just trying to include them because we've worked really hard to try to get back some kind of normalcy with the quality of life issues on Cornelia Street in particular. Those quality of life issues are very much still present on West 4th Street. There's a lot of problems there still that are caused by the outdoor dining mainly. Now that it's off the table, we're very pleased about that, of course. But I also caution that it's not over. Just to say that since those sheds have gone and that corner is cleaned up so much, it's really changed the dynamic on that corner so much. And I just want to encourage these guys with their decision, but also that it doesn't come easy. This has been a really tough battle for the last 3 years for quality of life issues for people that live in the neighborhood. And I would just like to say that for the people on West 4th, there's a lot of people that rent there and not necessarily owners. We own our place.
But on West Fourth Street, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily speak up, but there's so many issues on that street. So operating late in the night, if it's inside and it's relatively quiet and we can live our lives, great. You know, we want to support it. We want to be able to go there ourselves. But if it comes outside and affects our quality of life, that would be a shame. We have just to finish, we, for the first time in years now, actually can piece together 2, 3 days, 5 days, even a couple of weeks where there's really not a significant incident on Cornelia Street. When it was happening every single night, there was something new was happening. It had nothing to do with inside the sheds. It was all about after the sheds were closed and before the operators were coming the next day. So just a cautionary, I think they're on the right track, support it, and wish them all a good luck.
Great, thank you. David, did you want? If there's anybody else who wants to speak on this, come up and then just fill out the speaker card afterwards.
It's okay, I got him. Carmine Street Block Association. I too was involved with negotiating this. 2 small points. Thank you for mentioning that the 3 years starts. We had forgotten to say that when the door opens. Also, they stipulated that they would not apply for an outdoor roadbed seating without first coming to the Block Association and give them notification. I assume that you know that that was part of the stipulation. Okay, so it's a small point, but we want to make sure that we don't wake up one day and we see something that doesn't belong there. So otherwise, I think we're good to go here. Thank you so much for all your help. We really do appreciate everything that the community board has done to facilitate and to help us in this process.
Thank you.
Out yet, but whoops. My name is Susan Ginsburg, and I'm coming. I was concerned, not only myself, other people that are part of a group I'm part of.
I think you have to hold it up like.
Okay, we have more groups now. This one is the Neighborhood Action Group that we are about 60 strong now, trying to get enforcement on everything. I'm not a representative of them. We're just sort of.
Okay, so you're speaking for yourself.
I'm speaking for myself,
Okay.
yeah. But a friend of
Keep the
mine,
microphone in front.
someone else part of the group who could not make it, and I told her I'd come because I walked down 4th Street and it's just awful. We have a hard time. And she happens to live next to the Spaniard. This is 1 block from the Spaniard. And the Spaniard's a real problem with lines and drinking and screaming and vomit and whatever else there is. So when we read about what they wanted with the outdoor space and lines, we were really concerned. A number of us, the group. As I say, we're dealing with everything in the West Village about all the problems, whether it's drugs or motorcycles and bicycles. So I'm so glad that they have withdrawn that because that's a real obstacle. But I personally am concerned about the speakeasy. I live by 7th Avenue where there's a speakeasy, and they came before you and promised the world. None of it is enforced. And, you know, waiting on sidewalks at 4 o'clock in the morning, not in front of their building, in another building, loud. It's just been a real problem. So I'm glad that you said that you were going to do reservation only. So I would support it for that, but otherwise it's really a problem with all these people coming, standing on the sidewalks till 4 o'clock in the morning. And it just disrupts our life terribly. It's all very chic now. There's a lot of speakeasies. So you know, good luck with it. I mean, I think it's a nice idea, but whatever. Anyway, that was so I would certainly approve of it and say go on with this if it could be kept to inside and not outside.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I think anybody else from the public here on this?
Because we will be slain.
Susan, if you can just give, whenever you're finished doing that. Okay. Cormac, do you have something? Want to address anything first?
No, there's nothing to address. We appreciated working with them.
I just have some unsolicited advice. what we do in the East Village may not be the recommendation you think it is. Many of us consider our mission to keep our neighborhood from becoming like the East Village. So I'm just, and where you're moving into, that little, the west side of West Fourth and that block is our own little slum. It's just, it's turned terrible the last few years because of the outdoor dining sheds, as somebody from the public said. So anything you can do to just make the place not tawdry, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here on Thursday night. A lot of other places you probably wanted to be, but appreciate it.
All right, so, yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. All right, I'm just going to call one more time. Adoro Lee, 287 Hudson Street. This was a corporate change. Anybody here on that? I don't see anybody. Okay, I think that we are, any new business? Okay, so I think we're good. We'll take a break for a minute or two and then come back.
All right, it's like wow, what year are you? Like, wow.
So, I really want to. I'm just saying, we were just talking about that. Well, you're making that many parts, figure out. Lots. The resolution that we wrote now said that.
You want to hear the heart of the meeting? It's right here.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Haven't had any. Okay. So, the first one, starting with, spicy.
Hey, you're gonna be.
Yeah. I have a conflict too. I just realized it's fine. I'm doing it anyway.
So I may end up just, I don't believe me.
Oh, I think so. But thank you. I do have another board meeting that I'm. My alumni association.
I'll watch the video today. I just feel bad that I want to understand and there might be questions for the office.
It's okay. It's hard to get these days. Like I said, I oversubscribed myself, and then I was like, I knew the 12th sounded not so easy to change, but it's fine.
Right, and don't want that meeting.
Oh, hopefully, but if we don't, at least we will have had the other meeting, right? And it's just done. And then if I have to write any sort of report, I have, it's like, it's gonna be a crunch for the, I'm just gonna try to have some sort of. I don't know, who knows what's gonna happen? I mean, that woman says, you know. Right, right. And I was gonna ask you, I was like, do we know what email, like, do they have the right email address? Right? Like, and does it need, you know, at least it needs to be yours, or, you know, at least yours, and then.
No, it really needs to be info.
Okay, or info, yeah, so.
First of all, info goes to all three of us.
Perfect.
And secondly, not that any of us is going anywhere, but one of the things we experienced with there's the whole mess of things that got screwed up because they were going to a Dinty email address that used to be Bob's.
Yep.
Or Josh's.
Yep.
That's how we ended up with people that different domain.
Right, and then how do we get access, do you guys have access to the portal yet? Is there anything like you can go look at? I know that they have to notice, yeah, so I can send you an email.
I will
But
email myself right
I
now.
didn't think about that second question about, can you guys log, as the can someone in the office log on and see if there's.
I tried the other day, but it was before the portal was open, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
All right, so let me just
so.
email myself.
Can you make the official notice address, email, the info, right, and then.
Who's email? All right. Okay.
We walk around and now there's more. Animals.
Oh, it's a whole.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one down here? It's really quite.
Oh, it's. It looks like he's like. Remember when Marina Abramovic did that thing at where you sat across from her, the artist is something? That was like,
okay.
I don't know, I think there's at the MoMA, I don't know. Yeah, I will. Okay, so the next one is the deal with Reynolds, 49, that's 4, and.
And then not use it. And then maybe do it. I can't log in once. I've been there. Anyway.
In previous steps, written when they developed by one, but then they never did, so they're on pause. She's back and applying for liquor license now. And she was agreeing to the previous step, except she wanted to add that, which she can't, so we don't can't.
That's outside, I mean, basically, you got this. But, you know, this one, when she submitted it, she said, oh, so we went on West 10th Street, which was the tea shop, right? And the upgrade. So she was part of it, and West 10 West. She's a partner in that one. Her sister is a partner in this one, and her sister is one of the tea shops. Yeah, it's the whole thing. So there's a little bit disingenuous, you know. not much. So, same situation.
Pushing up.
I know, but that was the question. Okay, so you're not, that's, yeah. So then, the next one.
This is like right next.
And we got the phone, we have to be on the
This, though, everybody knows this is the reasonable. The parking here, the parking is staying. Typically, do that. And now they're putting something there, and this is one of the narrow streets, like in the residential area. How down this is down and down. One step forward in one direction. Yeah, but like, never, but that's why they got the deliveries.
And just makes. Now it's super hot. But I'm, well, that's why I have, I think, actually, the fence is back on the. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. I don't know if they're like this. It's a good opportunity. I don't know, but I'm gonna get the. Yeah, I'm not gonna really make a statement, because that worries me about what that. That worries me about, okay, now, but the really, or business plan that is gonna work. How do I make it not to do the other thing? Well, I'm a picture of the salaries.
Yeah.
But he's doing something.
Oh, yeah.
But what's interesting. Yeah. This building.
These are the old style where we run green as a store in your apartment. And I've only seen them on apartments. But it's, you know, it's kind of like.
By the way, I understand like, it's what you're saying. Right, but looking at the package. They're only packages on. Yeah. You say, you're not watching, someone can put them line. And words one. Yeah. Right. You want to. If they can't, when they can't, that's a movie one. Yeah.
No, it's not more than the 10 feet, so you want to get in the crosswalk, or more than 20 feet.
They're probably an
It's zigzag.
Yeah, that's.
What? So that they can. They want to put it all. If you look, you actually see how big platform. Where. It's on the other end of the block. Some people. Wow. But speaker more than. You know that? Lisa.
I don't know if you remember when I was in your time, the 232 West 14th Street, I'm just mentioning this because I don't know that, but yeah, so next week, you know, we did not have someone to downstairs space and off the window, and say, they got templates and we had the reference, and they're the neighbors of which letters they're harassed and the business out there sometimes there's rooms and lights on and then some noise and some music. I've gone by a bunch of times and never seen it open until the beginning of February. And I know in town this weekend, but you know, well, fine. There was no, you know, I asked the menu, and then there's no menu, the woman turned around and there's a menu, all the menu, I was standing here and didn't take it, and I found it on the phone, and so anyway, they didn't have the letters that president that we were back, and so we played up tomorrow, next week, and and then the quote that I found on the matter, they quote, and you know that gap, we can't find anything when they then Martin Whatever, we can't find anything about gas, we got all anything like that. no permits, there's no permits, but she's getting some, others, I guess, in school,
All this gas stuff.
So I just thought I'd update you all here. I have come on.
Thank you, Mark.
Everybody can talk. It's so. I did. I got it. I can live it, right? Wow, yeah. But that, no, I didn't. That's not. The county here, it goes back to the bus stop. The county here is back. Round the bus stop to the walk yard.
For the Spain. So they said that it was. Yeah. Free.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
There's still gonna be a restaurant.
Okay, I'm going to have to.
Are we done?
Yeah,
I was just kidding.
Oh, great.